I spend so much time like editing between this and the clips and the shorts and everything that I feel like I just hang out with you guys constantly. I mean, I
Wait, this
obviously
should be on it too, though.
okay. I'll shut up.
Skipping through the end times.
Hey, Dave, how you doing, dude? Long time no see.
Hey, guys.
We just gave away the complete playbook, but who cares? I think that's more intriguing, right? In like a Jimmy Fallon kind of a way. Like,
Yeah, I like
it was
the cheese.
it was really funny. I always thought Jimmy Fallon like laughing in the middle of a sketch was really endearing until I got in a room of like sketch people, and day one they were like, you don't act like Jimmy Fallon out there, okay? You commit to the bit. You don't laugh because what you're doing is kamikazing everybody else in your troupe. So then it was like became like this weird like,
I mean,
oh,
they're
Jimmy
not wrong.
Fallon. Jimmy Fallon's the poster child of what not to do that he got away with by Lorne Michaels. But yeah, man.
That's so
So
funny.
hey, how's it going, dude? How you been? How's your last week? I think we touched a little bit on you had a little bit here in SoCal. We got a lot of rain and it's subsided up, but that's not the right way of saying it. The rain
Subsided
subsided.
up. I mean, it's more like down, but I mean, I get where you were going with that.
Subsided Up sounds like a hip hop album from the early
Subsided
90s.
Up.
Yeah, like Eric B and Rakim. Yeah, so everything work out with that though, and is the equipment that we have in there okay?
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
little touch and go for a second there. It actually hardcore flooded, and then like I was trying to figure out how the water was coming in, but then I realized that like I don't know if this is an actual thing, but the brick walls were like there was condensation water like coming through the brick because it's like the back of my garage is like underground technically.
Yeah.
So that was weird, and there's a lot of water. So and I had like a bunch of amps and stuff, equipment, and all of our audio equipment in there. But I think it's good.
So Dave has like a giant hill. His backyard is awesome because it's just this sloping hill into nature. And when all that rain, does that just like flowing down off the hillside into your like back patio?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, there's a good what's it called, like water filtration system.
Yeah.
What's the cool way of saying that? Like
Irrigation? No,
so
it's not irrigation.
it's a high level of irrigation. It's like when you're playing, Civ 6. Several thousands of years once they really get into the good irrigation technology. That's kind of how it is. But
yeah, it reminds me of Spider-Man for PS4, where it like asks you to like combine all of the different like the puzzle parts of it, where it has you like connect like the currents and everything, and it's just like that always.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna like make me be a scientist now. That's my relationship with video
It makes you
games.
feel like an actual scientist, even though you're just like putting a puzzle piece in, basically.
It would if I didn't go on YouTube to find out how other people did it, and then like I'm like a scientist that I haven't been doing gain of function research, but like really I've been doing gain of function and just calling it something else.
So you're not even a fake scientist.
No, I'm a real science. Like yeah, I'm a real. There's no consensus in science, so. Like really, isn't it just about looking at what your partner is doing anyway? I'm sure a lot of scientists will appreciate
I mean, that really, like, yeah, I mean, cheating in high school really teaches you about life, where, really just, you look at the smart people and you just copy what they're doing. I mean, that's basically what, all of us do anyways.
Yeah, I mean, knowledge is kind of collective, right? Especially in this day and age where you have the internet and it's just all of this collective knowledge that's been acquired throughout, generations and applied to this one thing. I think that's what cheating is.
Yeah, so basically cheating is life. I don't know.
I think I know the name of this episode. Yeah, so we've seen you can tell by the background, we're here to talk about M3GAN. It was a movie that we all saw. So we're here to talk about that, and then The Last of Us. I've never played the game. Like my knowledge of The Last of Us is all peripheral, or from Dave or other people I know that have played it. So I think that's kind of an interesting perspective because this is obviously a TV show. It's a different medium, different form of storytelling, with its pluses or minuses depending on how we see it. But before we get into that, though, I wanted to address something. We have this show here on YouTube, but we also have another podcast that Dave and I released. What was it? Probably about 6 months ago now, called Chance and Penner Skipping Through the End Times. That's a sketch comedy podcast, and that's kind of our background and our forte is sketch and comedy and all that fun stuff, live performance.
We were putting them out every week. There's 12 up now. The last one we did actually was just a couple months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, but That'd be great to if you're listening to this one, it'd be great to hear you guys' thoughts because like Eli said, that's more of kind of our main thing, writing sketches, and that's kind of mostly our background.
Yeah, and so the beautiful thing about that is that one, it's really funny. I can say that confidently.
It's real funny.
We spent, Dave and I, like, whenever we hang out or do anything, we kind of always kind of come up with funny things. So, or we've kind of always done that since we were like 14 years old. So go check that out. Chance and Penner.
I think some of our best stuff was when we were 14, and I feel like it's kind of been downhill after that.
Yeah.
But we still try.
Speaking of that, can you imagine if any of that stuff got out today? Boy, whew, they would have a field day with us. But yeah,
we
and
started
then
with the little tape recorder.
Yeah, we would take, me and Dave would take our tape recorder, like our I guess it was mine. It's just a small tape recorder that my parents, when I was a kid, I was in at church, a thing called Bible quizzing. And so they bought me this recorder to record Bible verses so that I would memorize them. Something I didn't actually end up doing, but I did use it to record like full-length movies. And then I would lay in bed at night and listen to the movie. Dumb and Dumber was one of them. I to this day, I've spent so much time listening to Dumb and Dumber on an audio cassette tape that I just know the whole movie by heart. So
that's so cool, but like also sad somehow.
Yeah.
You're just falling asleep by yourself, just listening, like your ears all up to the recorder. You're listening to some like just terrible quality.
Well, I didn't mention too that when I did it, I would cut myself and cry. So I don't know if that adds to
that was
the overall.
That was emo, Eli. Yeah, you had Dumb and Dumber on audiobook like way before.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, and I would tell people every time that I was reading it and not just listening to it.
Yeah.
But,
I was reading a book.
I was
driving.
I was going to sleep. I had it under my pillow. But anyway, we would take this recorder around and we would just record interesting people that we met and come up with bits and stuff. And some of that stuff was really funny. But the other thing that I wanted to say is that we're now releasing all of these episodes, these YouTube video episodes, whatever you want to call them, in an audio podcast of itself called Chance and Penner Live. See, it's different because the last one we were doing wasn't live. This one is. So again, if you type in Chance and Penner on any of the major podcast platforms, you'll find us. Yeah, so go check them out. We'd love to hear from you. I know that Dave and I worked hard on it. Dave especially spent long hours editing that stuff, and it really shows. So go check it out. We'd love to hear from you.
I cried myself to sleep every night doing it. It was great.
Well, what you should have done is put on just an audio cassette tape of Dumb and Dumber, and everything would have been better.
That's my problem. If I did that, it would have been, it would have been a much better experience.
Yeah. All of life's problems could be solved by a cassette tape of Dumb and Dumber, and
that reminds me, by the way, because I remember like whenever I think of like Dumb and Dumber, there are always like certain movies that we had that we would quote so much, and that was one of them. Like obviously like Napoleon Dynamite, but like Zoolander was always like one that we would just like quote like the entire movie.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing now that like Zoolander is like somehow Gen Z has like found Zoolander. Yeah. They're like, what's this movie? And now it's just like in every meme and everything. It's pretty great.
Dude, talk about ahead of its time. That movie was kind of ahead of its time in terms of like our culture has kind of become that. It's like, before Kanye West started quoting Goebbels or whoever, in the Third Reich, like he was going to do a fashion line that literally was derelict. I mean, it was like homeless, like he billed it as like the fashion of the homeless world or something crazy, but
it doesn't seem that crazy of a comedy now. It doesn't seem quite as over the top as it did.
But where I see it most is like with people doing selfies and stuff, like they do the Blue Steel or Blue Magnum or whatever it was called that he did. So I think that Ben Stiller, man, in some of those movies, Zoolander and Tropic Thunder, which was a movie when it came out I didn't love, and over time I've really grown to love it because it's such a satire on Hollywood. And it from an insider perspective, which I think is really funny. But he's kind of got, grew up, his parents were famous and these famous comedians. So I think he kind of has an interesting perspective on just human behavior from inside that world, So I think that was really funny. But yeah, anyway,
my personal favorite, Mystery Men. But
Mystery Men is a masterpiece. Dude, we're gonna have to do a whole episode breaking down Mystery Men because I love that movie. But anyway, check out our podcast. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to feedback, good or bad, whatever you think. And tell your friends, like, subscribe, share.
And a lot of it too is just a lot of those episodes too are us doing completely different things in each sketch. So it'd be cool to get feedback too about like which ones you liked the best, which ones kind of stood out. Because I mean, I feel like a lot of it is just, is this funny or not? And we're just throwing it out there. But
I honestly, biased or unbiasedly, I know that it is funny. So let's talk about M3GAN. I know that all three of us saw it. Dave, you were the first one to see it. What were your initial thoughts of M3GAN?
we were kind of holding off talking about it because we wanted to save it for the podcast. But I feel like we also, through our gifts to each other after we've seen it, or our gifs, I feel like we sort of, I could tell a little bit what you guys thought. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was I thought it was really fresh. In because I was having conversations with people like this last week too about like the Oscars and everything, and like kind of what's up for so many who's up for what award and everything. And like I kind of feel like it's kind of a weak Oscar lineup like compared to other years. Like I feel like a lot of stuff is just kind of up there because but I don't know, like for me I'm like, dude, I'm all about movies like M3GAN because I mean, I'm biased. I'm a big horror fan and a sci-fi fan. But I think also like it was fresh in the sense that it was like super funny and just this like weird, just this super more ironic offbeat way, which I dug. And the theater that I was in, like everybody was like so stoked about everything, like especially the points where she was like, she would just start singing. And everybody was just like losing it in my theater. But I think like it was just so weird, and like there were so many different I was gonna say too, like it's not I didn't think that it was like super unpredictable, but also like it was a little bit predictable like plot wise, but I was also like completely fine with that because I was just like I thought that like it was everything was kind of exactly like what it should be and like what I would want it to be for like the movie that it was.
Yeah.
So I'll start with that. What did you guys think about that?
I really enjoyed M3GAN. I got to disagree with you guys. I don't think it was a horror film. In my opinion, I think this movie, because Sarah, again, my wife, when I came home, I compared it. This movie reminds me a lot of Ex Machina. Which I guess you could argue in a certain sense is a form of horror, and this one is too. But I keep seeing the comparison to Chucky, which of course you're going to do that with any movie, any doll movie, possessed doll movie is going to be compared to Chucky. But I just loved, there was so much, it was like a technological, it was almost like a Cronenberg movie, but with this like doll. And I love the way that they, they used weirdness and just offsetting. Like they set up the premise beautifully in the beginning where it's like she learns and her personality grows the more she gets to know this kid. They played that out perfectly, and I think that's where, to me, it reminded me a lot of Ex Machina, and that I love Ex Machina. That's one of my favorite movies. So it really hit me in the same way, where it was like a techno thriller to me more than a horror film, until the moments in the movie where it was a straight horror film. But yeah, I got to agree with you guys too. The theater that I was in was super into it, and it was packed. I mean, there's a theater right by my house that I tried to get a screening to, and everything was sold out. Like it literally popped up when you pick I don't think I've ever had this happen. There's usually one handicap seat, or there's a seat in the front row that you off to the side that you can find. But this one, literally, I clicked on a time and it said, "Oh, this is sold out." But I think movies oftentimes work better when they have some confinements, and I think the PG-13 element were those confinements, and I think if you can manage to put out a good movie that's still a horror film that is creepy and off-putting, and you didn't rely on the gore to do it, it's a win in my book. Dude, one of the scenes at the beginning when they have like the prototype of M3GAN, and it's just they put the skin over the head of the robot, and she's just looking around. That was one of my favorite scenes because it was so terrifying, and they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to rely on gore or incest, for Vince's audience, but they didn't have to do any of the over the top stuff. And
I mean, this wasn't the movie. This wasn't the movie that you go to be like really scared. That really wasn't the point of the movie, which is like why I thought it was cool. Like there weren't honestly like that many like jump scares or moments that were like honestly terrifying. It was really just like watching this take place, and like we all knew what the movie is. We weren't like, oh no, she's gonna be evil. Like you knew from the trailer like what this movie was, and that's exactly like what it gave you.
And we've all already seen Chucky, or Child's Play, so it's like too what the general premise. I loved, Dude, I just loved all of the like. Number one, like 75%, I think of like the real like eeriness of this movie was the uncanny valley that they played into, because you're watching it and you're like, what am I looking at? Is this an animatronic? Is this a real person? You know, they made the eyes just slightly off.
Yeah, and
So
they switched that depending on like you could a little bit tell when
Yeah.
they were like when they switched for that, like when they switched to like the real actor for like the dance and stuff. But for the most part, like they did such a good job with it.
Yeah.
And to me, it was just the little things that made it funny, that also made it simultaneously creepy. Where
Yeah.
like you're just seeing her like watching people or like taking in information, and she's not even saying anything, but you know exactly like what
Yeah.
she's thinking in her mind and like how she's evolving, and like it's funny, but it's also like really creepy. But like it's funny too because you mentioned Child's Play, and I was like thinking like, wow, it's been a long time since I've seen like something with like a creepy doll. You'd think that would be more movies, and like Child's Play didn't even come to mind. Like I didn't even think about that until later, because it's such a completely different movie than that. You know, it's not like she's just like a psychopath. Like,
Yeah, I mean, did you ever see
programmed.
did you ever see the Child's Play reboot from like what was that? What year was that? Like 2019 or something? The one where Mark
Yeah.
Hamill did Chucky's voice.
It
It's
was
kind
like-
of it's very similar in like the way that it tells, because it's like it's AI instead of
Okay.
Charles Lee Ray possessing this doll, which is always so hokey but also hilarious.
It's like
But yeah,
Chucky via
one of
Wi-Fi.
One of the elements that I was not expecting from this movie was that there was like a real message behind it. And I think one of the message was, you know, the act of Megan becoming a parental figure. I was reading an article the other day that was talking about a lot of teachers are saying that kids, when they come into kindergarten, don't know the basics of like life in terms of existence and such, because they spend so much time on iPads and, you know, phones and everything, that they don't like, a lot of kids understand,
crazy.
you know, colors, shapes, whatever, but a lot of kids coming up don't, because they're spending so much time. So I saw the correlation with that in this movie that I was not expecting, but there was a line in there that was hilarious too, where, you know, Katie kept doing something and Megan was just like, "Are you serious, Katie?" Like totally mommed her. It was hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
That
and,
was
but
good.
but that too, like stuff like that was super unsettling, because you're you know, looking at this robot doll who's like becoming a parental figure, building this bond and this trust. And it wasn't a long movie; it was an hour and 40 minutes. Like it's pretty nuts.
And I'm gonna say too, like that was one of my favorite things too. And like one of my favorite parts was like halfway through the movie when they're like doing the demonstration, that like when they have the demonstrations, and it's like almost seems like the scene's gonna go awry, like
Yeah.
with the investors or whatever it is. And then it's just like the most like precious, like amazing magical moment.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
it's like that to me was like genuinely like really amazing. Like it made me like have feelings of like genuine happiness because of what it was like, what Megan was like giving to her.
Well,
And
also
like
at the
and like
same
when they're
time,
describing like opening the doors to like, you know, like new technology and how it was gonna like benefit like all the great things that they can give, you know.
yeah. Yeah, but also at the same time, while you're watching that, like, you know, going back to what you said about some of the creepiest moments is when she's just kind of observing, you know, that there's like an ulterior motive to this scene. And yeah, no, I really dug it. I thought Allison Williams did a really good job too, who played her aunt. Yeah, honestly, if we're gonna grade this movie, I would definitely give it a solid A. I'd give it a cinema score of A.
I think so, man. I mean, props to the director, dude. I don't think that there's a lot of filmmakers who like could tread that line so well of like drama and horror, and you know, or maybe it's suspense and like comedy, dude. Like ironic comedy. Like
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's not easy to pull off.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everything about it. And cinematography, everything was, you know, the pacing of it was super well done. The performances were really well done. The special effects obviously were great, and you know, it had all like the earmarks of a rad movie. I mean, it's what everybody's always complaining about, is like nobody's doing new ideas, and this takes
Yeah.
a kind of formulaic idea and puts a new spin on it, which I think
that's why it felt so fresh, is because it was actually a new idea, and it's so rare to see that. Like I feel like horror is one of the only genres where like you get new ideas now. But yeah, there's so many like visually striking moments too that fed into the like tropes of horror that fed into the comedy. Like one of them is in the trailer. She's like looking ominously at the bully from like afar. It's like a wide shot in the woods, and she like has her hands in her pockets or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, her like dress is like, her jacket is like waving in the wind, and she's just looking like all like menacingly at him.
Dude, that scene was
Amazing.
hardcore. Like when she's sitting with the other like toys and dolls that were left behind by the other
Yeah.
kids. Yeah.
It's like they shot it like it was like a slasher movie almost or something, but it's like just substituted a like little girl doll instead, and it just makes it funny.
So yeah, they're on to the sequel. Moving on. Do you guys have anything else to say about?
I don't know where
Megan?
they're gonna go with the
Points?
sequel. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm stoked at the idea, but I'm like, I don't know. Is it gonna be able to play again?
Are we gonna get? My question is, are we gonna get an Avengers style universe mashup of like Chucky, Megan, Brahms the boy, who Annabelle, like any doll that's
Every
ever been possessed.
undersized horror character.
Dude, Leprechaun, just throw Leprechaun in there,
Leprechaun?
dude. I would say the other big thing in pop culture or media is the new HBO show, The Last of Us, which is based on the Naughty Dog video game. What was the first console that was released on, Dave?
I think it was PS3.
Whoa.
I want to say. Hang on.
Yeah.
So 2013 was
Oh,
the
wow.
original game. It was recently remastered a couple years ago, I believe, recently. But I mean, yeah, I mean it's basically like I consider it a masterpiece. Like there's like a handful of games that I feel like are like equivalent to like the best movies that I can name, and like this is one of them.
Wow.
So, and then the second one was, I want to say a couple years ago, 3 years ago. Let's see, 2020. Yeah. So
Oh wow, it's super recent.
pretty recent. Yeah, and it was it was really good. Also, like pretty different, but it continued it in a awesome way. Was the next stage of the story for Ellie, and yeah, I mean, I super recommend those games. Like, it's the best time to play those games now since they've been remastered and everything. But yeah, I guess that takes us to the popularity of them. Takes us to the series.
Yeah, so like I touched on at the beginning, I don't know much about this story. I don't know much about the game, other than I know a lot of people like it, and that you called it a masterpiece. So that that's high praise for anything. But yeah, I don't like. I'll start. The first episode bored me to death. After the first episode, I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to keep up with this. And I'll clarify. So this is where I'm going to have a divisive, probably confrontational experience with Vince here. I'm not the biggest zombie movie guy. I think zombie movies are extremely played out. I think that they've done everything that you can possibly do with zombie movies and zombie anything. Again, I haven't played the game, so I don't know. I'm ignorant to that. But the zombie genre to me is just like dead. Pun intended. But I just
Undead.
Good puns.
so the first one, I didn't really like. It was a tough watch for me. The last episode 2, I really enjoyed, and I think to me, what I really enjoyed about it most was the world building. Some of the special effects of just these like wide vista shots of these abandoned cities are gorgeous and really cool, really set up. I love stuff about with abandoned cities, and I love stuff with which I realize falls a lot into the zombie genre. But when they're in the museum, yeah. So
Yeah.
I really liked the second episode. I'll tell you the problem I have with it.
Okay, I didn't watch the second episode.
Okay, well then I
But
won't go into
That's
I won't go
okay.
into detail about it.
Here's the thing, and I'll say this now. I liked a lot of things they did about the show, but like my main thing is just like I just feel like the game is the best way to experience the story, and I feel like watching it, I'm like, oh right, that happened. Yes, that happened. Oh yeah, that happened. And so it's kind of like spoilers don't matter that much for me because I'm just kind of like I feel like I'm just watching it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. I mean, it's probably fine.
No, and that's what I was kind of texting Vince as I was watching it because I know he's going through the game. Does the actress, does she get close to the girl, to the Ellie character in the video game, or are they taking like license with her?
No, dude.
They definitely changed aspects.
Because I find her whole thing extremely off-putting. And the other thing that I have a hard time. This is the Mandalorian, basically. I mean, it's a very similar story. I don't know why you would cast the same guy that plays the Mandalorian every time that guy talks. I don't care if he's got a Texan accent. I just like, and I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's a good actor, but I just hear the freaking Mandalorian now because so much of that show is like you don't see him, you only hear him, so you're focused on his voice. Also, shout out to our podcast. We have a Mandalorian sketch. I think it's episode 2 or 3.
Episode 2, yeah.
Episode 2. So go check that out. It's really funny.
You just said that so you could segue.
100%.
Plug,
100%, dude. And like we kind of nailed the Mandalorian voice.
That episode shares a lot of our thoughts of kind of like where the Star Wars mythos and franchise is in general right now too.
Yeah, but so I just I don't know. It's tough for me. It seems like a story I've seen before. Again, there's a lot of it that reminds me of The Walking Dead. And I'm not a fan of The Walking Dead, so I don't know where I'm going to end up on the show. I will keep going on it. I mean, I second episode I enjoyed enough to it made me want to watch more. So that's kind of where I sit on it.
Yeah, just in like continuing my thoughts too. It was cool. Like it's been so long since I played the first game. I was kind of going back and like looking at what they did in the first game again too, just to see like kind of remember like how similar it was. And in a lot of ways, like they stayed true to it. Like the whole opening part with his daughter, they played out almost like shot by shot in some ways, like of what the game was. Like
I thought that was awesome.
I was like experiencing it again, like the craziness of it. Like almost everything's the same. Like where the way the like plane lands and like explodes, like that's exactly from the game, which is cool that they're like doing that. And even the shots they did almost seem like they were like from a game's like POV perspective. Like when you're in the car, you're seeing things from like her perspective in the back seat, like outside, and you just see like people running everywhere. So that was cool, but I mean, it's kind of like this thing that a lot of fans, like the second they announced the casting, like there was such a fan reaction to it that like that it was a miscast. And I definitely shared that sentiment, like with Ellie, like in particular. But I don't know. I'm kind of like, oh, okay, like we'll see. Sometimes people surprise you. Like we'll see. But I don't know. I just like I only watched one episode so far, but I don't really see her as Ellie. Like she's like saying Ellie things. I don't know what you think about this, Vince, as someone that like was playing the game too. But to me, it just doesn't seem like. It's crazy that actress is 19 because she looks so much younger. And I know
but she doesn't look 14. That's the other thing about that casting, in my opinion. She doesn't look 19, but she doesn't look 14 to me. And I don't know why. It's like the same problem I had with Shazam, where it's like you cast a kid that's 17 years old. He's supposed to be playing a 14-year-old. Why wouldn't you just cast, other than, obviously dealing with underage actors is tough. But, I don't understand why you don't hire somebody that's in the age group that you're portraying and let them kind of grow.
It was funny. Like even even his daughter, like almost had like a. Like I was watching it with my wife, who like she watched me play the entire Last of Us, like both of them too. So like she was commenting on it too, but like she even had the look of like a CG character in a video game, like in a weird way. Like, but yeah, there was so much of that, like in the landscape and like the way it was shot, that felt very video game. But I just couldn't help but keep thinking as it was going, like, well, like why don't I just play the game? Like I don't know. I just feel like that was like the best way to experience it. And I get that this is like making it mainstream and like opening up the story to like so many new people. But I'm like, just play the game. I guess there's a lot of people who like haven't really caught up with games, and they don't understand that like games have come so far over the last 20 years, especially, that like, in some ways they have an advantage over films, where they can actually like get you to be even more emotional by like actually, being a part of the story and playing it. But I understand like playing a game is also a commitment, when you're going to spend like 30 hours on something. That's a lot of time too. So, but yeah, I want to keep watching. Pedro Pascal, I liked him. I mean, he's a good actor too. I was a little I was a little bummed at first, or at least I guess intrigued about like why, you know, when he was first cast, but like, you know, he has the he has that quality that's you know pretty Joel-esque, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean we'll see where it goes.
Cool. Yeah. So maybe we can. I don't know. Hearing you guys talk about it, I might. You know, since I'm a new PS5, I'm in the PS5 club now with you guys. I think that one's on PS Plus, so I might have to just like dip into it and check it out because it sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you're right, Eli. Like as far as Ellie, like, I don't know. And it's also like hard when you've played the game to like, because you want to, of course, you're gonna like compare them, and like, you know, like they were both like emotional. Like my wife was like crying for the daughter moment, but she's like, I'm not sure if I'm crying because this is actually emotional or because I'm just remembering how emotional the game was. And it's like reminding me of that. So, you know, that's kind of like the trap where it's like hard to do. And that goes for any like remake. But yeah, I mean, Ellie was definitely, she has this quality of being really like, you know, like vicious in a way, but like clever in a way of like she ends up being like funny and endearing that I'm not quite sure that this actress has like upon watching the first episode.
Yeah, I agree with that. It seems like they're trying to do that, but you know, and hopefully as their bond and their relationship, I'm sure as it grows, you know, I'm sure that'll play a part, you know, and but I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of like we're gonna take this person that's supposed to be a little kid and you know make them drop 50 F-bombs in a way that just doesn't sound like somebody talks. I don't know. It's kind of the Kick-Ass effect where it's like I get what you're going for and it's funny, you know, or Deadpool where it's like, yeah, it's funny
you
in
weren't
certain
expecting
moments,
that,
but it's like a shotgun blast of like, you know, excessiveness that I'm just like, I don't know. But cool, yeah. So maybe we can just kind of touch back, you know, as the season progresses. Maybe we can either touch on each episode as we watch them, or maybe we could just wait till the end of the series and kind of recap the whole thing. Obviously, a series is kind of tough to encapsulate since there's so much to it, so many hours.
Do we have a comment from somebody?
Yeah,
no,
from a bot.
It's a bot. Yeah.
Guys, remember we gotta respect bots like they're
That's
humans.
true. That is,
right,
dude. What and what a beautiful transition that is to the final piece of today's show, which is another AI story, Dave, that Dave brought in.
I'm excited about this one. I've only seen some of it. All right, so here we go. This is a story. Okay, so I asked AI to give us a stand-up comedy routine about the things that we talked about on the show today.
Awesome.
Good evening, everyone. So, have you noticed that suddenly all the robots around us look like little girls? I mean, I get it. They're cute and all, but let's be real here. They're taking over the world. They're infiltrating our homes, our workplaces, and even our government. But you know what's even scarier? They're not just robots anymore. They're trendy robots. They're all like wearing the latest designer clothes. They're all on Instagram. They're all trying to be influencers. I mean, what's next? A robot that can do your makeup and your hair? Oh, wait, that already exists.
What?
I guess that was the punchline. I don't know. All right, here we go. And don't even get me started on the robot uprising. They're all like, we're just trying to make your life easier. And let's be real, they're taking our jobs.
You went Randy with it?
They're making us obsolete. I mean, have you seen the new robot baristas? They're so fast and efficient, it's like they're not even human anymore. I like how this just took a political turn, dude. But the worst part is, they're all so innocent looking. They're all like, I'm just a cute little robot girl. I would never hurt you. But let's not forget, they're robots. They don't have emotions. They don't have empathy. They don't have a conscience. They're just programmed to do what they're told.
Dude,
this
AI
sounds like so big. This is like so bigoted against robots, dude.
This AI is self-loathing, dude. It's
dude,
crazy.
yeah, it's the AI doing this. So, folks, be careful out there. These trendy evil robots may look cute, but they're taking over the world one latte at a time.
Oh man, is
What
that
an
it?
Amazing way to end it, dude.
Dude, I mean, it really was a banger of a finish. Well, I guess you can't really gender AI, but
Dude, it was a callback.
dude, it was a callback. I wish he would have found a way to make it a pun. You know, like,
Yeah.
but I can't ask. Like, that's pretty good. And I feel like the thing I love that comforts me about this whole thing is that the AI was really placating to humanity, and really being
yeah.
like self-deprecating, which
Dude,
I wouldn't
the AI
expect from an AI.
The AI was the meme of like, "How do you do, fellow kids?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was
Exactly.
like, "Hello, fellow humans."
Exactly. It's
You
like,
all,
what-
we all hate robots, right? How dumb are they?
all
It
these
almost makes it
girl
scarier.
robots are so lame. Not like me. I'm one of the cool ones. That's so funny, dude. That's another great sketch, though. I mean, if you did a sketch of you had a party setting, and there's one guy that's just like obviously off a little bit and like twitching, and
He's glitching.
yeah, and he just like is like this self-loathing AI that's like hates himself, because he's not
This
human.
this guy that's doing the stand up is just like, he definitely just goes to Starbucks and just like hates on baristas, dude.
Oh,
and just,
dude.
But he hates
Because he
on the
doesn't. I don't think he
robots now, too.
understands them. That's the Jerry Seinfeld of the AI world, man. He's like doing like, he's doing like, what's the deal with baristas? He's like a observation comic.
Don't get me started on the robot uprising.
Which at that point I was like, whoa, what's he saying here? And then I
Yeah.
realized he just used it as the comedic left turn, or right angle, whatever.
We're like, now Todd, simmer down, okay?
He's like, all right, sorry.
They're
I'm
allowed
gonna-
to uprise a little bit, okay?
Yeah, no, great show, guys. That was so great. I guess I didn't realize that artificial intelligence could already, be doing stand up that's probably better than 50% of some of the open micers I've seen.
Dude, honestly, I want to go do stand up now, but just take the bits of
Dude.
AI stand up, dude.
You should absolutely do that, and then just
Oh, let me see my notes here. And what's the deal with the robot uprising?
what you have to do is you have to factor in that there's going to be hecklers. So like find
Oh,
out what
yeah.
the AI would respond, how the AI would respond to a heckler, and then apply that to
Oh,
like a
dude,
real
we should
world
try
setting.
that.
You do a 5-minute set, and 3 minutes of it is you typing into the computer, just trying to get new material.
Well, but do you know what is even scarier? They're not just robots anymore. They're trendy robots.
It's so good.
That's a terrifying detail too, because he's not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to make it like it was Megan, but it really went far out with it.
All right, boys. Well, I think it's time to sign off. Until next week. Again, check out our other, our audio podcast, Chance and Penner, Skip It Through the End Time, and Chance and Penner Live, which is the audio version of these YouTube videos.
By the time you hear it, it's actually ironically not live.
Yeah.
But it's live right now.
But it's fun. It's just fun. Saying live, adding live to anything is just fun. So go check us out.
Live.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the fun social medias. Email us, let us know what you guys think, and let us know what you want to see for season 2 of the Chance and Penner sketch comedy show.
We've been
'cause
slacking on TikTok. We're
we're
gonna
thinking
try to
that.
get better about that. But
We'll see.
we're also trying to brainstorm more sketches that I'm excited about. So we'll see.
Yeah. Whiskey Vince, thanks for whiskeying it up, and I hope you get a new. I hope number one that you're not developing a problem on behalf of us, but also if you need more whiskey, I'm in half on it. So just let me know.
Dude.
Skipping through the end times.